But we are actually recording now. And
Hi.
Emily Nicole Kirk, you, I don't know if it's from your emails or your Facebook or anything, but I think of you as a three-name type of celebrity
Oh,
now.
yeah, I did that because apparently there's like a fictional character from a soap opera. I think it's like an Irish soap opera, and her name is Emily Kirk. And when friends of mine would search, that woman would come up. So now for like certain websites and things, I'll have three names, but when I'm meeting people, I'm like, hi, I'm Emily. So I
Makes
promise I'm not trying to be super formal or like nerdy about it.
no worries, no worries. So the film is Happenstance,
Yes.
and you wrote and directed, lead actor, and I think I saw in the credits today, you also did the edit.
Yes, I did.
So this was a pure passion project of yours, right? You
Absolutely.
from start to finish.
Absolutely. It started as a little thing, like just kind of a scene to challenge myself because I primarily do a lot of character work. So usually very big things, being very funny, being very sad. And I realized I've kind of never just been like the every woman or the straight gal, if you will. And I thought that would be a really nice challenge for myself. And when I wrote the scene, I got this idea that I should really just pursue it and really honor it as a real story because we don't see the every woman all the time on film. You know, that I'm very body positive and I love all kinds of women, and I just think it's nice to have representation of all the different kinds, and that like you can find the beauty in the normal and the ordinary, and it's just as romantic.
For sure, I think that came across. So did you write it first and then decide to to make it, or did you say, you know what, I'm gonna write something that where I can where you can do what you just talked about?
So yeah, I did write it first because I've always loved. I mean, I'm a stand-up comedian, so I love comedy. But I feel like, especially in the romance genre, we only have two extremes now. It's either romantic comedy that's super slapstick and over the top, or it's like this epic drama that's like in the middle of a war or something. And I find a lot of like the most romantic things in my life are kind of small, and I just really thought it would be nice to just try to capture that in a short, like maybe just a five-minute scene or a 5-page scene. But I ended up writing much more and then took it down just to the bare essentials.
It works great. It works great. I really love it. I love that you
Thank you.
chose to do that moment of the unrequited kiss. That I'll get to the Q&A questions from jury members, but spoiler alert, one of them is said something along the lines of, they're really, I am impressed as well as this jury member of just how much backstory, and we just really sense that there's just been this kiss that needed to happen since they were, well, 12. They probably didn't know they needed to kiss,
Yeah.
but like they were friends starting even at age 12, right?
Hmm.
So I mean,
Yeah.
that's a really human, normal situation, and I love the way you told it. It came out wonderful.
Thank you so much. We wanted the kiss to be a really interesting moment because I've always felt, because I grew up watching romantic films, and it was always this pressure of like, well, the first kiss is going to be perfect. Like the setting's going to be right, everything's going to work out, the music's going to swell, but like that's just not what happens in real life. So I really wanted that first kiss to kind of feel, exciting, but also kind of awkward, but also kind of funny, and that feeling of like, I think I want to do that again. Like let's do it again, but this time for real, kind of a feeling.
Yeah. Did you think you were gonna write a first kiss film from the get go, or were you focused more on romance and then you decided, well, what's more romantic than that first kiss?
I was focused more on the romance, and I think I didn't realize it, but I guess I was a little scared of it because I had never, like, being a funny person, like nobody ever wants to see my character or a person like me being sexy or being romantic. So I kind of was always in that safe zone of like, oh, well, I'll never have to do that with anybody. So it was something I kind of just kept prolonging and prolonging. But then I was like, these characters deserve it though. Like, why shouldn't they have it?
Right,
So
and
I was like,
you challenge yourself as a performer, it sounds like, by not going for the laugh.
Yeah.
right?
It was
Because
really hard. Like I had a lot more jokes in there originally. And I was like, this is just falling on the old trope of like, well, he only likes her because she's hilarious. So I was like, I'm just going to commit to doing this like just straight. Like not every person is hilarious. Like, I mean, he thinks she's funny. The rest of the world doesn't have to think she's funny, but like they understand each other. And I think that's like really cool and understated, or that's what I was going for.
it worked. It worked. And the connection between you and your co-actor was did you cast him? Did you have him in mind as you wrote?
Yeah, I cast him. It was really overwhelming because I had somebody originally and just circumstances came and they couldn't do the project, and it was really daunting, this idea of having to cast a part, because I've always been on the other side of it, but having to cast somebody, I felt very much like, oh, like a mastermind now. But I had like open to all ethnicities, open to all types. Like I literally looked at all types of guys, and something about Christian self-tape, there was just this, I wanted Keith to be this understated cool without being over the top or a player with it. There's just this confidence he has, and he knows who he is, and he knows what he wants, and it's this relatable and comfortable, kind of nostalgic feeling. And I had to go with my gut on it. I was like between a couple people, and I was like, this is Keith. Like I can't, I'd be dumb to not go with this. And
Yeah,
then we actually met in person, and he was a total sweetheart and really awesome team player. Always open to ideas, always really, coming up with like ways we could collaborate and make these moments, really interesting and cool. So I appreciated that. And I think he's definitely somebody people should look out for.
yeah, it's a great performance. The connections there, the the attractions there, everything. Yeah, nothing. It's a great performance. And it must have been, was it a little awkward for you, have not being able to turn to another producer and say, you go ahead and cast this, like you had to.
It was so weird. It was so weird, especially because my boyfriend was also the composer on the film, which I'm very proud of the score. And he had to sit there as I'm casting, and it almost felt like being on a dating profile again, but not really, because it's like, I don't know. I'm like looking at these people for all these different reasons that I wouldn't normally, because I don't cast things. So I don't know.
Your
It's just a
boyfriend a
really
really hard time,
surreal
like show him
feeling.
headshots and go, should I kiss this guy or this guy? So
Yeah, it was
did
it's
you joke
weird.
around
It
with him?
was so weird and bizarre. And I definitely have more respect for casting people now, because you're just looking at so many things. Like I saw so many good auditions, and you
So
just can't
hard, right?
cast it.
Now and
You can't
now
cast everybody.
more
So
than ever, more than ever, you know that when they say we loved you, but we're choosing someone else, you know it's true. Yeah,
absolutely.
amazing. Well, here, let me ask you a judge's question, which is, I had it up. Where'd it go? Right here. Uh, it says, well, it's what I said. You definitely felt the history between those two people. How did you go about developing the characters during the writing process?
Okay. So I was trying to go back and think about where I find comfort. And I think like I found a lot of comfort in like nostalgia and people who've been there to see you at your most vulnerable or your smallest. And I thought, what about these characters who, they've known each other since like children, like they've seen each other go through puberty, they've seen each other like fart in front of each other, like, and that idea of like this person's always been there, and it's always been a comfort, and they've seen me through all my faults and all my merits. And I thought, wouldn't that be really nice if that person was kind of there all along, and maybe just the timing and circumstances were never right until just now. So yeah, definitely playing a little bit on the old, I mean, there's a lot of 80s films and stuff where it's like the friend that's been there all along, but I don't know. I kind of wanted to explore it from this new generation and this new vibe of not being so like tongue in cheek about it. Like, well,
Yeah.
he's really dorky, or like she's really weird, but be with
Yeah,
this
yeah,
person
you
because
didn't
they're
have to deal
the
with
nice
all the
guy.
things that were in the way, and you do get the sense that he kind of had this agenda, or maybe they both did. That there is that moment, right, where you think to yourself, I should have kissed him. Next time I
Hmm.
see that person, I'm going to kiss him. Like I
I
kind
think
of
there's
get it.
like a little thing in the back of their brains. Like maybe they won't like maybe it's a subconscious thing they won't acknowledge, but like she put on the red dress for a reason. Like she wanted to show these people at this party who, she went to high school with, like, oh no, like I clean up okay. Like, don't worry, I'm
Sure.
doing stuff now.
And you absolutely did that. Yeah, you what you mentioned earlier about body positivity and things. It definitely is uh, really refreshing, and it's just great to see you portray yourself as a beautiful woman.
Thank you.
It's really it's so nice. It's we're all headed this art form is headed in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm not putting down anybody of any size. Like I think it's all awesome. So why not give the audience all of that?
For sure. Well, here's another question, and it's on a different tack, but it's about the cinematography. That the
Yes,
look of the
Kristen
film really
Bailey.
looks good. It has that feature vibe, and the question was, the cinematography is great. Were there any films that inspired you that you discussed with your cinematographer?
There were like a couple of references of things that I had taken from a lot of images from, there were a couple shots from Peaky Blinders. There were a couple shots from Sharp Objects because I loved all the play on the lights in that. But my cinematographer, Chris Van Bailey, is first of all, I think he's a brilliant artist and he's always such a good team player. He always has such cool ideas. And we wanted to figure out how we could make this dance feel different than most dances, because a lot of times when you see a dance in film, I feel like I'm more looking at the spectacle of the dance, like, oh, that's a really nice dance, like they did all those moves, or like I really like that you can see them dancing and the sunset behind them. Like I'm not focusing as much as when you're dancing with somebody, you're very intimate with them, and that's very scary, but it's also exciting. So he was very down to like, let's get up in there. So I was like, please, like I want to see lips, I want to see hands, I want you to basically be feeling them breathing on each other, because that's like, how often are you that close to somebody? So I
Yeah,
wanted that feeling.
yeah. As the director, you made the audience as intimate with those two people as they were with each other. Just
That was the goal, and I'm so happy that translated.
smart choice. Great choice. It
Thanks.
sounds like you directed from your heart a little.
I'm a Cancer. I'm very emotional, so I am. My heart is just like always splattered open for everyone, which does hurt me sometimes as well. But I wouldn't have it any other way, because I think people respect when you are vulnerable and absolutely just who you are. There's nothing fake about that.
For sure. Well, I know one question we always get. No one asked it, but one question we always get: if we were, God willing, if we had been in a theater and there were hands going up, someone would have asked you if it was a whole weekend shoot, or did you get this all done in a day? Was it one
Uh,
night?
it was
And I
one
would
night.
ask, how many people did you have there? Because it feels like a very full space.
That is wonderful to hear. I was very, very lucky. I had a lot of other passionate friends and artists who were willing to help me bring my vision. So I had a really awesome assistant director, Brett Emanuel. I had script supervisor, Michelle Vernon, and I had multiple PAs that were women, Madeline Perez, Nikki Van Prosky, and I guess I'm trying to think of the count, but I mean, it was a fairly decent sized crew, but it's also a learning process. So I mean, we had background people who stayed as long as they could stay, because a lot of them have day jobs. They work in like law firms or doctors. And I had people from kind of all over different demographics and scenes, and they were all very willing to help bring my project to life. So I would say, all things considered, it was a decent sized crowd, maybe crew wise, maybe 15-ish people. But yeah, I guess I should have
And
counted everybody.
your background performers, I mean, it really makes it feel like it's a big party, like some fancy mansion party.
Oh, thank you so much. That's what I was so happy that they all could do that, because they are all really good friends and really good people, and they they brought a lot. They made light of what they did, but I said you really helped immensely. Like I couldn't have done it without you guys.
That's great. And you didn't have to take crew members and say, okay, and show up in a nice party dress so that you can be background too in between setups.
Yeah,
Cool.
not
Well, is
for
there
that one.
anything you want to add before we jump off? We're kind of at the 15-minute point, so.
Oh, sure. Well, Happenstance is, a short that I put a lot of heart into, and it's also kind of become a proof of concept because I have this idea of it's very much inspired by Happenstance, but I'm writing my first feature that I would like to do, kind of embracing this idea of showing a new kind of a leading woman and leading man, and just kind of seeing where the story could take off after the party. So there's a lot of stuff on the horizon. I'm looking to always collaborate and meet new artists and new people who want to explore and try new things and really stimulate audiences and make them look at things in a different way and try things in a new way. So I'm working on that. I also do stand-up comedy. Hopefully, whenever everything feels a little normal again, we can do that again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a hard adjustment with this pandemic. I mean, film festivals, we all got moved home, and
yeah.
yeah, it's comedy. Hopefully, there'll be outdoor patio comedy clubs soon or something.
That honestly, I've been to a couple of those. We had one at our house one time. It was called Let's Get Wet, and all the comedians performed their set, and then when they finished, had to jump in the pool, and that was pretty fun. So I like the idea of like outdoor comedy. We can make it happen.
Well, thanks so much. I can tell we could talk for a long time, but like I warned you before we started, if we go too long, then everyone goes too long, and then the
Absolutely.
Q&As are longer than the films. But thanks so much. Thanks for submitting the film. I think it's great. And
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you showing it, and we're really excited to see all the films this year. This is
yeah, they're
really
really
cool
good.
that we're still able to have the festival and be able to see them streaming online.
Yeah, and I think you'll really like the ones you're paired with, but I don't know them off the top of my head anymore. Oops.
Supernova and LA Breakup.
Oh, you're gonna like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm super.
LA
I've
Breakup
been
is
a creep.
actually,
I've been looking at everybody's stuff during this whole thing.
yeah, excellent. Yeah, thank you so much. You've been a great social media supporter too at the festival. We notice who clicks like on things.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we got to all support each other. So we really appreciate you taking our film seriously and wanting to show it to more audiences.
I just wish we'd had a theater with 40, 50 people all, giving you immediate
Yeah,
feedback, but someday it's going to happen soon.
yeah,
But at least we were able to do this.
absolutely.
Thanks for your time. All right, I'm going to stop recording.